gotta turn the volume. Take these out and turn the volume on. You don't have no sound.
So what you've got is a 7-8 minute variance. It depends on if you're 7 or 8 minutes. Like if you clock in 8 minutes before, it's going to give you back to the next. So that if you worked 8 extra minutes, it's going to give you back. If you only work 7, it's going to give you forward. So that's where it rounds up or down by 7 or 8 minutes. But yes, it can do that. It will do that actually, because you can see, that's another thing I can show you, is if you do adjust, like that one kind of looks weird. Well, we're going to look at her a little closer too, because it doesn't have a start and end time. It just has a number of hours, and it accepted it, which is kind of, but she's one we need to work on anyway, so we're not going to worry about that one. Normally, if you have an adjustment, if somebody didn't clock in at all, you'd want to put their in time and out time. Okay, like see, this is one where it was adjusted. See, it's got the actual punch in time and then the 7:15, because this one would have probably backed her back to 7. So you can, anytime you make an adjustment to a time and you go to the timesheet, you're going to see what the original punch was. And you have to have a note. Anytime you change a time, you've got to have an explanation in there of why you're changing it. And that is the basics of what you're looking. Those are just real quick things that you can look for real easily whenever you're looking at that on a weekly basis. If you've looked at all your timesheets and you think that they're all correct and you're ready to approve, you can approve this whole batch just like you did one at a time from this section also, and approve here and approve everybody at once. Or if there's some you do and don't, you have 2 different approval options that you can do either place and approve your timesheets. While we're looking at this screen, we'll kind of touch just a little bit on comp time. The district does not have a comp time policy. Our policy is basically that we don't accrue comp time, like you don't just have comp time earned by working a little extra here and there to build up days so you have this time that you kind of got to play with. Our policy doesn't allow that. The only thing that might be is in a certain situation with a certain supervisor or a certain position. Sometimes there are certain times of the month, the week, the year that you might have to have some comp time with your office staff or something. And those comp time hours, we don't want on the timesheet. We want them off the timesheet so that we have an accurate timesheet of just their pay. There's 2 ways to do that, because you would have to keep up with the comp time in your own office. You can either have it completely off the clock, which means have them punch in when they're supposed to, and then a separate record for their comp time. Or they can punch in here. If they punch in and you reallocate that to a comp time, you have to adjust the timesheet. You would have to go in and change their timesheet and make a note that it was reclassified to comp. It should not be an issue for y'all, because I don't think you should have much at all, but just so you know, if you are having any situations like that and they're going to use that time at a different time or something, it needs to be off the timesheet, just so that we don't get timesheets when we start processing and not knowing if we need to do something with this employee because it's showing extra time and those kind of things. Are y'all understanding that concept of it? Is there any questions with that? But
No.
that's yes, sir.
I said no, ma'am.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. And another thing that I wanted to point out is a common, if you have got, and I may correct one later, if you've got an employee that says, okay, I have to go, I've got a doctor's appointment this week, I need 2 hours, it's best if they can make up that time in the same week so that it's not carried over from one week to the other, if that's something that you're going to allow. And they can do that by having a working lunch or something like that. So, you know, you don't want to have a situation where you're going in and out of comp time, you know, with those kind of things, if at all possible.
And Becky, on the timesheet, I think there's a spot where that working lunch shows up that you can click and take that away, so it'll actually pay them for that.
Correct. That's what I was going to show you right here. We know that, let's see, she's got it. We're just using her for everything, are we? if you are going to let your employee have a working lunch, right here where it auto deducts your lunch, all you gotta do is say is dismiss, and it will add that 30 minutes back in. So that's all you have to do, and it will want an explanation, and just put, I don't even know if it wants one of that, I think it just put working lunch is what normally I put, and you just say dismiss, and it'll add it back in. And that's all you have to do if you're allowing somebody to work through lunch. And working lunch normally means they're eating at their desk. It's not means they're not allowed to eat. So we had somebody earlier that thought we weren't gonna let them eat if they had a working lunch. Is there any others that you wanna see specifically? I think we looked at this one. This one is short, but if you look here, it's because there was a punch out, no punch in. So in a case like this, you do have to reorganize it. You'll have to move this punch out over to here and change the punch in. Because if you don't, it will think they're working from 4:30 today till 7:30 tomorrow morning. So it will calculate the hours looking at that. So in a case like that, you will have to change the position and enter them in both places. You just enter the 4:30 down here and enter the whatever time. And we didn't correct anything like that because that's probably a situation where you need to that employee and see what time they got there maybe, or something like that. So we didn't do any adjustments. We just wanted to show that that was the problem with that one, is there's a punch out and no punch in. So the punch is in the wrong place also. Okay? Got any questions on any of that? We're just gonna continue right down the line. And actually, I wish I'd done some screenshots from yesterday, because yesterday was perfect. Today's Friday, not many people are here. This is called your people locator. You cannot pull this report on any other time than right now today. And what you have is you say people locator, and you hit run the report. We just want active, but you don't have any inactive. And it's gonna tell you everybody that should have clocked in today. And if they're not clocked in, it's gonna tell you like, this clock in is missing, so we don't know if this person's here. Yesterday was really good because we had every kind of example you can have on here. We had if you've got an employee that has submitted an absence for this day, they'll be listed here, and then it will show up here that they have an absence and the reference number to that absence. So they're not gonna punch in because they will have an absence for that day. But it showed all that yesterday, and I didn't even think about it not being there today to show you. But anytime you look at that, this is strictly for right now. This is where are my people right now. So that's a good thing to look at in the morning and see who all is supposed to be there. I can show you mine later if you want, because it will list everybody, because we're all here today. But in this case, it's only because your aides are never here, so Fridays aren't a good day to look at this report for them. But this one you can see is missing completely, so that means they have not punched in today. They're scheduled to be here, but they haven't punched in, which means they either didn't punch in or they're absent and have not submitted an absence from duty. Okay, let me go back again. Okay, the work detail is exactly what this is basically more like an actual timesheet item. It's what your timesheet would look like. If you were going to print out the information on the condensed screen, this is an actual timesheet. You will use this very rarely, because most of the time that you will be clocking, other than like the ACE program, the bus drivers, maintenance, those, we don't actually process payments from these. These are just clocking time and making sure that we've got everybody accounted for and the hours that they're working, but we don't use this as a paid document, because of course everybody in the district is annualized, so their check is the same, and that's where, if you do have to have more comp time or whatever, that's where that plays in. So this is not something that we're going to actually be a working document for us. We are not going to ask that you send us these kind of documents. Any of these we can pull at any time in the system, so there's no need for y'all to be printing out and submitting documents to us that doesn't require a signature. because all of the electronic signatures will be inside. Eventually, we will have you have to put your PIN number in. Right now, we've just got it open for approvals till everybody gets used to the program and the processes, but we will be having it where you approve a timesheet, you have to put in your PIN number. And that's like your electronic signature for us to know for sure that you've approved this timesheet and that it's good to go. So we haven't put that in there yet, but we will. This is off track, but I just thought of something I don't want to forget to tell you. These are my users, and on this report, it won't break out. It just tells you everybody that's your user. And there you see you still have your inactive people. They're just grayed out. So this isn't the best place to pull that information because it doesn't have any way to break that out to just your active people. I think I've already forgotten what I was going to say. I said I've already forgotten what I'm going to say. It'll come back to me. Okay. But this is basically, when you come to your reports, it's just like before. You've got your timesheet review, your locator, all of these are on your dashboard. So whenever you first open it up, you are, oh, I just thought of it. I'm sorry, y'all. Everybody that works with me knows I do this, but I just thought of it, so I'm going to tell you. This is crazy. Okay. Oh, I know. On the absences, the system is currently set up that it does not start calling absences until, or subs until the absence is approved. That's really not, I've kind of talked to Mrs. Ravel and Stacy to see what their thoughts on that, and we'll make a decision on that. Normally, you want those calls to start going out as soon as the teacher submits an absence, so it starts calling subs. The only problem you could ever run into is if for some reason you disallow that absence. And the thought on that area is you can reassign that sub to a different teacher. So if you've already got that sub coming to your campus with this teacher, and for some reason they didn't need to be off after all, or for some reason you disapprove that or disallow that absence, you could take that sub and reassign. So we'll kind of be getting input on that to see what's better. But it can be an issue if you've got a delay in calling those subs, and especially with the limited amount of subs that are out there. For instance, yesterday we had 33 absences in the district, 33 needed subs, and we had 10 subs. So we need to make sure we're getting those calls out there as soon as we can with every other district, or, off the same pool of subs. So anyway, I just wanted you to be aware at this time that it's not calling that sub until that absence is approved. Okay. This is another really good report for you. What this one is, this is your clock exception. So this is a report, instead of pulling up every single timesheet and looking at it, you can just say, okay, I want to just see people that didn't punch in. I want to see people that missed their punches in and out for that week. And here it shouldn't matter, but you can pull just to active. But it's just going to, the only ones that are going to be listed on this sheet are the ones that actually missed a punch. So you can run this. There's a lot of different variables that you can run, but these are going to be your exceptions, because when you're working with your timesheets, these are what you're looking for. You're looking for exceptions. What's not the norm? What happened? Who's not right? And this will give you a list of whatever you might want to see. You might want to see somebody that worked that wasn't scheduled, and you can run that. And these were not scheduled, and I'm not sure why she's not. She is somebody that moved to this campus, so it's possible that there is something with her setup we might need to look at, because she is a library aide, I believe, right? Or the receptionist. What is she? I can't remember. I'm sorry. Who is it? The butler. Okay.
Oh, she's the librarian.
The library, yeah. So she's moved to your campus recently, so we may not have her scheduled, because according to this, she's not scheduled, and she probably should be. So
yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We'll take care of that. She hasn't been on campus for long, so
okay, because she wasn't even showing back there. So and that's probably something that we have, because she is somebody that was recently changed. So that's something that we'll check on our end to make sure we have her on the correct schedule. that's something I can touch base with you also, is that we weren't sure on your library aides if you were gonna have them work the aide schedule or the office schedule. So we have them, do we have them as the aide schedule? I'd have to
I
look.
think it was office.
We originally thought they would be office, because I know that the principals have said that they want their office staff to be there the same time they are, so they're doing the flip-flop week. We kind of put the library aides in that same category in case they needed to be there when teachers were there, if you had issues or something for them to do, or something they needed to interact with the teachers or help with, or something like that. So we set them up basically on like the office staff. So if that's not what you wanted for your campus, we can move those to the other. It wasn't real clear on the library aide, so
I think
just
ours,
so you're aware of that. Yes, did somebody have a question?
well, I think ours is set up or as an aide.
As an aide? Okay.
That's our Butler too.
Okay, so maybe it's the opposite. Maybe we've got them there. But if that works for y'all, if you find something that we've set up that isn't exactly, we had a lot of different schedules and a lot of different ins and outs and times. So we've tried to get everyone on the right list, but that doesn't mean that we succeeded. So if you see any that need to be brought to our attention, please, just let us know, and we'll be glad to get that all set up for you. Another one that you can look at, you might want to see, is like, you might want to look at, let's see, where is it? There's one that says, what is it? Miss, early in, late in. Maybe it's this one, hand interchange. So what this will do, and it doesn't look like there was any for that week. What this will do will tell you, like, if you had to change someone, you can look at reports like this to see if there's, and pull it together so that you can see if there's somebody you're having to change a lot. So that you might want to address that with it gives you a place to pull them up in one place without individually going and saying, well, who am I having to adjust a lot? Is there somebody that's really sticking out that I'm having to adjust, like, every few days or something that you might be beneficial for you to know? We are not, right now, we are trying to just get everything situated and everybody lined out and in the right places and operating correctly. So we're kind of saying that by the Tuesday when we come back after Labor Day, which I think is the 7th, by then everybody should be pretty much ready to start punching in all the time and that kind of stuff. Right now, it's just kind of like a discovery type situation, getting people used to it. So we're kind of waiting to that point to really start looking at these. Okay, and that is pretty much the program. What I was going to recommend, and we have talked a little bit about this already, but the role of the assistants is compared to the principal, and of course this is up to every principal, every director, every supervisor, how you prefer your staff operate under you, to let them be the point person to get all these straight, to contact people like you're missing a punch, what's the deal, because they make notes, to get it ready for you so you're not having to do so much research on your own. That, however, is a personal choice up to each individual supervisor. If you prefer it that way, if you prefer to do hands-on yourself, that's strictly up to you. At this point, they can see everything you can see, and they can adjust, they can do everything, they just can't approve. So if you prefer your department or your campus or whatever be different, all you have to do is let us know. We can tweak this to best fit the way you want to operate your campus or department. Can y'all think of anything? I've got Tanya and Tammy in here with me, so we're kind of running point to remind if I missed something or something. Y'all think of anything else? Is there any questions that y'all have, or?
Becky, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I know the timesheets that we have now are really, were made for teachers working that extra comp time just for them to write their time in so
Yes.
that they get paid. Is there any, like a timesheet correction sheet that they could have? Like if they forgot to clock in or if they were doing a working lunch, that, just to let us know that we would have that documented before we,
A time correction.
a time
We
correction.
can do a form. I'm not sure that we've got one like that here. It's a clock correction form. If not, what I do here, of course, I don't have as much staff here, so it's just have them send me an email or something, but we can do a punch correction form that you can put in your file. That way you'll have it from them stating that they do or whatever. And they should always try, and sometimes it may not be possible, to make sure they have prior approval before they work beyond their regular work hours.
Yeah. And I just know previously reconciling these timesheets, there's a lot of time corrections, like they forgot to clock in or they forgot to clock out.
Mhm.
And it's easy for them to, like, here, you already have the sheets. They grab one and turn it in at the end of the week. And that way it kind of saves administrators or secretaries or whoever's doing the time. It saves them time on that end.
Trying to search it down themselves.
Right.
There's no problem with that. And we can do a form, because I know there's a clock correction form that you can just fill out if you have a missing or whatever and turn it in. So that's a great idea. We can do that. And that way they've given it to you in writing. Eventually, we won't be, like I said, these are not paying documents for most of you, where we're going to take this timesheet and pay off of it, other than, like I said, the departments. And some of those departments we're going to be working with more independently or individually, because for instance, the ACE program is a straight hourly program, other than the site coordinators and directors that are full-time with them. They're strictly a timesheet thing. So theirs is different. They won't see a person on theirs until they've actually worked. They don't see like principals do, where it shows you all of the employees under you. They don't have anything like that. They can go in and look at it in reports, but on their front, whenever they first log in, they don't see all that who's scheduled, because theirs not scheduled. They are just timed in when they punch in. So theirs is a little different. So we'll be working with them individually to make sure we've got all that down with them, because it doesn't apply to most of you, so it's probably not something that you want to go over. But what else? Is there anything else that is there any other issues you've had that you want to address at this time? Or right now on the absence, and I think we may have covered this some before, to be sure that, and we showed that one report where it does print the absences for the whole month or by the week. I'm not a big fan of doing everything checking month-wise, because it can be pretty daunting at that point. But whenever you've looked at it weekly, and we want to make sure that those absence records that are being submitted through the system equal the actual paper ones. So your secretaries will want to run that report on the absentee list. It's got an alpha, so you can just see if you've got an absence for every person and a person for every absence, and those match up. And our goal is to have the paper ones gone by the end of October at the latest. We just want to make sure we're capturing everything and there's nothing falling through the cracks. But they will need a little extra step of reconciling and balancing right now. And like we do pay, you can run that report. You can run it for the whole month. I think we did run it for the month. So we post absences monthly. So you can run that for the whole month and have that like attached to your paperwork when you turn it in, just so that we know that they are the same. Anything else? If y'all do see any issues, if you see any people, this is a little bit quicker one. I'm thinking, did I miss something? But, I know we haven't shown. Yes, I have missed something, as a matter of fact. Let me go in here. I wanted to show you what it looks like for your employees. Now, every one of you have an employee log on also, but there's no need to use it when you're a campus user, because you can just log on and see. So there's not much reason for you to log on, but you could if you wanted to. But I wanted to show you what an employee sees when they log in, because this is what they are going to see, which is totally different than what you see, because of course they can only see themselves. Okay, a little bit. Maybe yes, maybe no. Okay. Goodness. Gonna be some update. This is what your employees see when they log on. Across the top, they've got calendars. They can go as far forward or backwards as they want. We set up in all of the calendars for the district. These are our closed days because we've got those Fridays that we don't work. These are in-service days so that the system knows, for instance, let's say you've got a teacher that wants to put in an absence on this day. The system knows not to call the subs because this is an in-service day. The teacher or whatever employee is supposed to work that day. So if they're not going to work that day, they do need to submit an absence from duty, but we don't want the system calling subs on that day. So the system will automatically know that the subs are not required on this day because it's in service. Same thing, we've had a few with the flip-flopping of the Fridays. It's, people are still having to get used to those schedules. So we've had some try to enter absences on those closed days because you don't need to enter an absence. And if you try, the system will just tell you that's a closed day. You don't need to enter an absence from duty. They can see down here if they want to submit an absence, if they want to create one, we're on the create. They can attach files if there's, for some reason, something that they want to show you on this. They can upload a file. They select whatever the absence is for, full day or half day, and then submit that, create the absence. They also have the ability to see if they have any scheduled absence out there right now. We had a question on this earlier because apparently somebody has a scheduled absence they just submitted, but it's not approved yet. So we haven't looked in the system to verify for sure if that scheduled has to be approved before it shows on the employees, but there will see an absence right there that's scheduled. They can look at their past absences, and there's no denied ones. I would show you, but there's none. So they can look at anything just for them. They can hyperlink also if they want to go back to this absence and look at it when they submitted it. But this is what your employees see when they log in to attendance to submit an absence. And on this, the paperwork that I sent you out yesterday, one of them is an employee quick start. You might want to even give to your, it's very, very simple, very, very basic, but it also has got a telephone number on there because you can submit an absence through the telephone. I know that we've had some issues with people that don't like using a computer or whatever the case may be. You can call this phone number and then it's just a touch tone like anything else and submit your absence through this phone call. So just so that if you do have any employees that just don't want to use the website or they can do it that way. My throat's dry, sorry. Okay, this is what they see whenever they go into time and attendance. We have the kiosk, so they don't have any functionality in this. All they have is view. They can see their timesheets. Actually, you go back to home, you get everything. They can see their work detail, which is just like the timesheet. They can see, excuse me, that exact same screen that you were looking at earlier. They can see their recap. They can see, like, this is one that you can see because she had leave this day, and this is how it would show on yours also. She did have 8.5 hours of leave, so you have to go up, and on hers it won't show the way it will on yours. See the leave that's posted for a full day in the morning, in the afternoon. On yours, and I was going to look for somebody that had a leave. Whenever you log into this screen and you open it up, right up here in the top left corner, it will say that there's an absence from duty. Sorry. And it will say what the reference number on that absence is. You can click on it and go look at the absence, but it will pull into their timesheet that absence. So it will tell you they've got an absence from duty. It's probably approved at this point, but you can click on it and check it too. And then it will automatically add their hours into your timesheet. So you don't have to worry about the timesheet for absent employees. It will automatically load that in for you. So that's just so you have an idea of what an employee sees when they log into the system. So if they should have a question. I was going to show you, trying to think of somebody that I can look at and show you the absence. Yesterday, if I hadn't thought about it being
Mine
Friday.
shows on the 25th.
Huh?
Mine shows on the 25th.
Okay. Amy, it doesn't want to get off you.
Well, I have one too.
I showed yours on you. I want to show them on me.
Oh, okay.
So you can see what I'm talking about. Let me go to I have to think even myself because I don't do it this way. That's not what I wanted to do anyway. This is what I wanted to do. You said on the 25th? Hey, this is why I don't show mine. Mine has everything on there. Okay, on the 25th. Okay. Okay, this is one of my staff. And on the 25th, and on the wrong date, yep. Sometimes it doesn't stay on the one you're looking. You might always, if something doesn't look right, just make sure that it's showing you the right date. So see here at the bottom, this is when you're logged on as you as the administrator now. This is what you would see at the bottom when somebody that's been out. You'll see that there's a time punch, there's leave hours, and the admin time, of course, is the amount of lunches that are out. And of course, this timesheet's not complete yet because we're still here today. So that's why you're not seeing the full amount of hours that should be worked this week because we're not done yet for today. But on the 25th, you can see this is what it would look like on your screen. On the 25th, that she was out, so it shows here her leave that she submitted and that it's a paid leave, the duration of it. So it's got it 2 hours because our leave is by a full day or half day. So it shows both periods of time. And if you wanted to see, well, I don't remember too much about that or whatever, you can always click on it and we'll hyperlink you back directly to the leave screen, the absence screen, and you can look at it there also. And you can still. So that's what it will look like on your end whenever you are looking at a timesheet that has got an absence on it. It will show you that absence. And that's kind of everything that I can think to cover at this time. Do you have any questions other than what we've already covered? And we will be tweaking things later on with reporting once we start changing the way we are interfacing and posting. But we're going to get this part settled down and get to where we are right here and that everybody's punching in and we've got everything rolling, and then we'll move forward looking at what kind of reporting we want whenever we start automating and not submitting all that paper. So hopefully we'll be there by the end of October at the latest. Anything else? Okay. If y'all can just watch for us and really if you see any issues at all, people that don't look right, people that don't look like their hours are right, their schedule, anything that you see, don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know so we can get everybody straightened out for you, because we want to make sure that we have everybody showing correctly and their hours correct, their positions correct, their administrators correct. So just let us know if you see anything. Okay.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you. I appreciate it.